So it's interesting because my background is actually completely unrelated to fashion. I majored in chemistry in college. I just felt like that wasn't what I wanted to pursue. When I came home after graduating, just as a means of having a job, having a time commitment somewhere, I started working at Warby Parker, retail job. Even though I think we view retail jobs, especially in our culture, as more of a stepping stone to another industry or another job, that job taught me that I really do enjoy customer service. And at the same time, I was also trying to tap more into this interest in fashion that I started developing. And I was pursuing that by just reaching out to different brands, different shows during the New York Fashion Week season in 2023.
Wow.
Just cold emailing, asking if they needed any help backstage, any show dressers. And I think I counted and I sent around 120 emails.
Wow.
Just to get one that said yes. But then I was able to have that opportunity of going backstage for a show, helping dress some of the looks, some of the models, helping run the shows. And that was a really cool experience as well. So I think once I started accumulating these different unrelated experiences, I realized I wanted to marry them into one.
Yeah.
And for me, with that retail experience, the fashion industry experience and interest, luxury retail really did seem like the natural next step. So once again, just cold applying. I knew on paper I really wasn't the most qualified candidate, but I didn't want to let that stop me. So just kept going for it. And then, luckily it worked out with Miu Miu, and that's where I've been for the past year and a half now. I definitely always had a sense of personal style, but I don't think I was always using it.
Yeah.
But I did know when I liked an outfit and when I didn't like an outfit. I think I really started to employ my own sense of style in college, just seeing other people's style. Being on a college campus, especially USC being such a huge campus, I was seeing so many more people every day than I was before, and picking up on so many different types of style as a result.
Yeah.
So I think that definitely guided this direction.
Yeah.
I find myself seeing people in the city, on the train, and finding a few things about their outfit that I really like.
Yeah.
For example, just yesterday at work, we had this client, she just walked in, and I really loved the way that she paired this scarf, which was this burnt yellow, it had a bit of a green undertone, against her sweater, which was black and white stripes. It was a Mi Paris, so it had the red logo as well. That color combination just looked so good, and I wouldn't have thought of that combination on my own. So instances like that are where I pick up on things and I kind of shelve them in the back of my mind for me to use either for myself or for clients in the future. So that's definitely a big way of how I draw my inspiration.
Sounds like it's like kind of a way to play.
Right.
Like introduce play into your kind of everyday adult life.
Yeah. I'm now entering a phase where I am drawing more inspiration from our Indian and South Asian background.
Yeah.
I went through a large phase of wearing mostly neutrals, which I feel like everyone goes through that phase at some point. And recently I've been stepping out of that and playing a little bit more with brighter colors, patterns, like even this jacket. I probably wouldn't have worn this just 1 year ago. I've really picked up on, with different styles of Indian clothing, just how beautiful our use of color is, how beautiful our use of pattern embroidery is. And I'm so drawn to that in our own Indian clothing that I think it started to translate into my more Western and everyday wear as well, because I now realize, I appreciate this color on me when I'm wearing it in a kurta and this pattern on me in a vest. So why can't I translate that into my everyday outfits?
Yeah.
So I think I'm now starting to see that really have an influence. If you asked her, she wouldn't necessarily say she's interested in fashion. My mom has definitely had a role in how I've perceived fashion growing up and even now. Especially when we have an event to attend and it's time to put on the saris. Just seeing my mom get all dressed up in these beautiful colors, textiles, and also the jewelry that she's wearing. With Indian people, we have such an extensive collection and culture with our jewelry. Having those additional details on top of already beautiful clothing just really made me focus on the colors, the adornments when it comes to any sort of outfit, whether I'm doing something more casual or trying to dress up for something a little bit more formal. So definitely it comes down to just the overall presentation that I was seeing my mom put together growing up. I do think it's provided a unique perspective because so many of these large fashion houses, and the one I'm working for right now, are European. And we kind of got so used to just these European brands, maybe a few American brands taking the center point of the fashion industry. And now we're starting to see on a global scale Indian designers becoming more respected and regarded. The first one that comes to mind is Sabyasachi, and how now Sabyasachi is not just dressing Indian celebrities, they're dressing people like Gigi Hadid and Zendaya for events in India or even outside of India. And I think now our clientele and the people in our industry are becoming more aware of Indian designers, Indian fashion as well. I'm starting to see a greater appreciation, and sometimes people bring it up in conversation. Even, for example, at my store, we have a seamstress who has been with us for a few months now, but she's Russian. But prior to working at Miu Miu, she was working at Sabyasachi, right, as their in-house seamstress. And whenever we have any dresses at our store that have intricate details like lace or crystal embroidery, she knows how to work around it, because on all these saris, lehengas, she's done even more complicated work. Definitely. I actually recall, I believe last year, Dior did a show at the Gateway of India, I believe. And there was also not just the show, but a supplemental, I think, Vogue podcast where they interviewed with the creative director of women's wear for Dior. And she mentioned that she had partnered for that collection with these embroiderers and the school of embroidery based in India, because she knew that only the Indian people have that level of skill set and experience to be able to replicate that sort of embroidery that she wanted. Well, definitely what I was just mentioning before, persistence. If you want to just give something a shot, I say just go for it. Do the cold emailing. Even if it takes, like I said before, 120 emails to get that one opportunity to volunteer backstage, when you get that opportunity, it really does just make you feel like you're taking that next step. And honestly, from a more technical standpoint, I feel like when you see a job listed online for, a brand like Miu Miu or for any sort of luxury fashion brand, the requirements will be pretty steep because they do want to make sure they're recruiting the best of the best. But even if you don't meet those requirements, because for most of the jobs I applied to, I did not, I don't think you should let that stop you. I think just go for it. If you can find a person of contact, find that person, email them, reach out to them. We have these requirements on paper, but once we start to meet someone and we start to get a sense of who they are, we're able to say, even though they don't have 2-3 years of experience yet, they can be a good fit for this. So I think be persistent, be bold, just really try for any opportunity that appeals to you. And I think even if it takes a while, something is going to work out, and that's going to be the next step for you to get where you want to be.